The Haunted Mansion. I always loved Disney World. The rides, the shows, the characters, they were my dream, my fantasy, my adventure. I wanted to visit Disney World more than anything in the world, but I never expected this. This horror. The Haunted Mansion is the horror. The ride that scared me, the ride that trapped me, the ride that, well, killed me. The Haunted Mansion is a dark ride that features ghosts and ghouls and other spooky creatures. Attraction, a way to experience the supernatural. But it was more than that. It was real, and it was deadly. I was 10 years old. I had gone to Disney World with my family. We had a great time enjoying the park and its attractions. We decided to end the day with the Haunted Mansion, one of my favorite rides. We got in a line, we waited for our turn, but the line didn't move. We looked around and noticed something was wrong. The lights were flickering, the music was distorted, the air was cold. We heard screams and moans, and we smelled blood and decay. I felt a chill run down our spines. We tried to get out of line, but we couldn't. Something was holding us back, something invisible and strong. We felt a pressure on our chest, a pain in our head, a voice in our ear. "Welcome to the Haunted Mansion," it said. The most terrifying place on earth. We recognized the voice. It was the ghost host. But it wasn't the friendly and humorous ghost host that we knew and loved. It was a twisted and evil ghost host that wanted to hurt us. He laughed, a low and sinister laugh that echoed in our ears. He said, "You are doomed now. You are part of my mansion, and you will never leave. You will never live. You will never be happy." He laughed again, and then he opened the doors. We entered the mansion and boarded the doom buggies. We hoped for escape, to find help, to call for rescue. But the mansion didn't let us. The mansion came alive and attacked us. The portraits changed, the furniture moved, the ghosts appeared. They all had one thing in common. They all had eyes, red eyes, evil eyes, like his eyes. They laughed, a high-pitched maniacal laugh that filled our ears. They said, "Welcome to the Haunted Mansion, the most horrifying place on earth." They laughed again, and then they killed us. We died, but we didn't rest. We woke in a dark place, a place full of ghosts. One of them was the ghost host. He looked at us with his red eyes, he smiled with his white teeth, and he said, "Welcome to my graveyard. I am the lord of this place. I am the keeper of all souls. I am the Haunted Mansion." He laughed, a low and sinister laugh that filled our minds. He said, "You are mine now. You are part of my collection. You will never leave. You will never rest. You will never be happy again." And he laughed again and again, and then he turned off the lights, and everything went dark. We screamed, but no one heard us. No one ever hears us. We are trapped in the Haunted Mansion, and the Haunted Mansion is evil. The star, the hateful. I've always loved astronomy, the stars, the planets, the galaxies. They were my passion, my hobby, my career. I wanted to explore the secrets of the universe, to discover new wonders, to witness the beauty of creation. But I never expected this. This nightmare. SCP-1548 is the nightmare, the star that hates us, the star that wants to kill us, the star that can. SCP-1548 is a pulsar, a type of neutron star that emits powerful beams of radiation and matter. It's located 6,000 light years from Earth in the constellation of Cassiopeia. It was first observed by the Foundation in 1953. It was classified as an anomalous object, but it was more than that. It was alive, and it was aware. SCP-1548 somehow gained sentience and sapience and developed a deep hatred for humanity and life in general. It used its beams to communicate with us, sending us messages of malice and contempt. It also used the beams to attack us, launching projectiles at us at near light speed. Some of the projectiles were harmless, like rocks and dust. Some were dangerous, like metal and radioactive material. Some were bizarre, like organic matter or anomalous artifacts. One of them was a sphere, a metal sphere that contained a live velociraptor inside. A velociraptor that was hostile and hungry. A velociraptor that escaped the sphere and killed several Foundation personnel and civilians. The velociraptor that is still on the loose. I was part of MTF Gamma 5, codename Red Herrings. We were sent to track down and neutralize the velociraptor and secure the sphere for further analysis. We had the best equipment, the best training, the best intel, but we were no match for the velociraptor. It was too fast, too smart, too vicious. It knew our every move, our every plan, our every weakness. It hunted us down one by one, leaving behind a trail of blood and gore. I tried to fight back, but I couldn't. It was too strong, too agile, too lethal. It clawed me, bit me, tore me apart. I felt a sharp pain, its teeth ripping through my flesh. I felt a warm sensation as my blood spilled out of my wounds. I felt a cold fear as I saw its eyes staring into mine. They were yellow eyes, hateful eyes, like SCP-1548's eyes. It laughed, a low and guttural laugh that echoed in my ears. It said, "You are nothing. You are weak. You are doomed." It laughed again, and then it finished me off. I died, but I didn't rest. I woke up in a dark place, a place full of stars. One of them was SCP-1548. It looked at me with its yellow eyes. It smiled with its red beams. It said, "Welcome to my realm. I am the lord of this place. I am the destroyer of all things. I am the star, the hateful." It laughed, a high-pitched maniacal laugh that filled my mind. It said, "You are mine now. You are part of my collection. You will never leave. You will never rest. You will never be free again." It laughed again, and then it turned up the heat. Everything went bright. I screamed, but no one heard me. No one ever hears me. I'm trapped in SCP-1548's realm, and SCP-1548 is hateful. The happiest place on Earth. I always loved Disney, the movie, the characters, the theme parks. They were my childhood dreams, my escape from reality. I wanted to visit Disneyland more than anything in the world, but I never got the chance. Until now. I was 18 years old and saved enough money to buy a ticket to Disneyland. I was so excited, I couldn't sleep the night before. I packed my bags, grabbed my camera, and headed to the airport. I arrived at Disneyland around noon. The sun was shining, the sky was blue, and the air was filled with music and laughter. I felt like I had entered a fairy tale. I bought a map, I planned my itinerary. I wanted to see everything, do everything, experience everything. I started with the classic attractions. The castle, the carousel, the pirates, the haunted mansion. I took my pictures, rode rides, and met characters. I had the time of my life. But then something strange happened. It was around 6 p.m., and I was in Tomorrowland. I wanted to ride Space Mountain, one of my favorite roller coasters. I got in line and waited for my turn, but the line didn't move. I looked around and noticed that no one else was moving either. Everyone was frozen in place like statues. Their faces were blank, their eyes were glazed, their mouths were open. I felt a chill run down my spine. I tried to get out of the line, but I couldn't. Something was holding me back, something invisible, something strong. I felt a pressure on my chest, a pain in my head, a voice in my ear. "Welcome to Disneyland," it said. "The happiest place on Earth." I recognized the voice. It was Mickey Mouse. But it wasn't the friendly, cheerful Mickey Mouse that I knew and loved. It was a twisted, evil Mickey Mouse that wanted to hurt me. He laughed, high-pitched, and maniacal laugh that echoed in my mind. He said, "You are mine now. You are part of my world. You will never leave. You will never grow up. You will never be free." He laughed again and then turned off the lights. Everything went dark. I screamed, but no one heard me. No one ever hears me. I'm trapped in Disneyland, and Mickey Mouse is hungry. The House of the Worm. I was a member of MTF Epsilon-6, codenamed the Village Idiots. We were sent to investigate SCP-1461, a manor that disappeared and reappeared with a bunch of sublevels underneath it. The Foundation suspected it was a work of the Church of the Broken God, a cult that worships machines and anomalous artifacts. We entered the manor armed with guns and flashlights. The place looked old and dusty, like it hadn't been used in decades. We found a staircase to the basement and followed it down. That's when things got weird. The basement was huge, much bigger than the manor itself. It was filled with pipes, wires, gears, and other mechanical parts. It looked like a giant factory or a mad scientist's lab. We heard noises coming from machines like hissing, cranking, and whirling. We saw signs of human activity. There was tables, chairs, beds, and other furniture scattered around. There were books, papers, tools, and clothes laying on the floor. There were paintings, statues, and symbols on the walls. And there were bodies. Lots of bodies. Some were fresh, some were rotten, some were skeletal, some were mutilated, some were burned, some were fused with metal, some were wearing robes, some were wearing suits, some were wearing nothing at all. Some were men, some were women, some were children. They all had one thing in common. They all had holes in their head. We realized they were victims of SCP-1461-1, a device that drilled into people's skulls and implanted wires into their brains. It was supposed to connect them to SCP-1461-2, a massive machine that occupied the lowest levels of the basement. It was supposed to be the heart of SCP-1461, the source of its power and intelligence. It was supposed to be God. But it wasn't. It was a monster. A worm. A worm made of metal and flesh. A worm that fed on souls. A worm that spoke in our minds. "Welcome to my house," it said. "I am the Lord of this world. I am the maker of all things. I am the worm that walks." We tried to run, but it was too late. The machines came alive and attacked us. They grabbed us, dragged us, cut us, burned us. They brought us to SCP-1461-1 and drilled into our heads. They connected us to SCP-1461-2 and fed us to the worm. I felt its presence in my mind. I felt hunger, its madness, its power. I felt it devouring my soul. I screamed, but no one heard me. No one ever hears me. I am trapped in the house of the worm. And the worm is hungry. The loop. I don't know how long I've been here. It feels like forever. I'm trapped in a loop, a never-ending cycle of horror and pain. SCP-3438 is the cause of my misery. It's the device that can manipulate time, creating temporal anomalies and paradoxes. It was supposed to be a scientific breakthrough, a way to explore the mysteries of the universe, but something went wrong. Horribly wrong. The device malfunctioned and created a temporal loop around itself. Anyone who enters the loop is doomed to repeat the same events over and over again, with no escape. And I'm one of them. I was part of the research team that worked on SCP-3438. We were testing its capabilities, trying to create a stable wormhole. But instead, we opened a portal to another place or time. We opened a portal to hell. The loop starts with a loud bang, followed by a flash of light, then everything goes dark. We hear screams and gunshots, and we realize we are under attack. We don't know who they are or why they want to destroy our project, but they are ruthless and relentless. We try to fight back, but we know we are outgunned and outnumbered. They have advanced weapons and armor. They seem to know our every move. They slaughter us one by one, leaving behind a trail of blood and corpses. I try to run, but I can't get far. The loop is too small, only a few meters in diameter. There is no way out. I see SCP-3438 in the center of the room, glowing with eerie light. I wonder if it can save me or end my suffering. Before I can reach it, I feel a bullet piercing my skull. I fall to the ground dead. The loop resets. I wake up with a jolt, feel a surge of pain in my head, look around and see the same scene as before. The device, the attackers, my colleagues, everything's exactly the same. It happens again, and again, and again. I've lost count of how many times I've died, how many times I've seen my friends die, how many times I have felt fear, anger, and despair. I've tried everything to break the loop, to change something, anything, to find a loop, a hint, a clue, a way out. But nothing works. The loop is perfect. It's my own personal hell. And I can't escape it. Jack had always wanted to drive a classic car. He was a fan of old movies and TV shows where the heroes would just cruise around in sleek and shiny vehicles, outrunning the bad guys and impressing the ladies. He had saved up enough money to buy a 1968 Chevrolet El Camino from the local junkyard, It was in terrible condition, but Jack didn't care. He saw it as a project, a challenge, a dream. He spent months working on the car, fixing the windows, the engine, the paint job. He even managed to get a new key for the ignition since the old one was stuck and couldn't be removed. He was proud of his accomplishment. He couldn't wait to take it for a spin. He decided to go on a road trip with his girlfriend Lisa. They packed their bags and loaded them into the car's trunk. Jack got behind the wheel and inserted the key. He turned it, expecting to hear the roar of the engine. Instead, he heard nothing. He blinked. Confused, he looked around, realizing it was no longer in the garage. He was on a deserted highway, surrounded by darkness. The car's headlights were the only source of light. Jack, where are we? Lisa asked, scared. I don't know, Jack said, trying to stay calm. I think we just teleported or something. What? How? Why? I don't know, okay? Maybe this car is some type of magic or alien thing. Maybe it can take us anywhere we want. Anywhere we want, Jack? This is not cool. This is freaky. We need to get out of here. Okay. Let me turn it off. Jack turned the key again, hoping to reverse the process. Nothing happened. He tried again and again and again. Nothing happened. The car wouldn't start or stop. It was stuck. Jack, what's going on? Lisa cried. I don't know. It's not working. Maybe we should get out and look for help. Are you crazy? It's pitch black out there. We don't know where we are or what's out there. We're safer in here. Safer, Jack? We're trapped in a car that just teleported us to nowhere. How's that safe? I don't know, okay? I don't know what to do. They sat in silence for a while, hoping for something to change. Nothing changed. They started feeling cold, hungry, thirsty. They started to argue, blame each other, panic. They started to lose hope. They started to hear noises outside. Scratching, screeching, howling. They started to see shapes in the dark. Eyes glowing, teeth shining, claws ripping. They started to scream. The Cause of Death. Dr. Lee was a researcher at Site 19 assigned to study SCP-1654, a book that supposedly contained the secrets of the universe. He had been working on it for months, trying to decipher its cryptic language and symbols. He was obsessed with finding the truth behind the book, even if it meant risking his sanity and life. One day he decided to take SCP-1654 to his office without anyone's permission. He locked the door behind him and opened the book on his desk. He stared at the pages, hoping to find some clue or pattern that would unlock its mysteries. He felt a strange sensation in his head, as if someone was trying to communicate with him. He ignored it and continued to read. He did not notice that the time passed by, nor the alarms going off in the facility. He did not hear the screams of his colleagues or the gunshots of the security personnel. He did not see blood seeping under his door or the smoke filling the air. He did not care about anything else but SCP-1654. He finally reached the last page of the book, where he saw a single word written in large letters. Cause. He felt a surge of excitement and curiosity. He wondered what it meant, what it implied, what it revealed. He leaned closer to the word, trying to see if there was anything hidden or encoded in it. He touched the word with his finger, and everything went black. He woke up in a dark room, surrounded by monitors and wires. He felt a sharp pain in his chest where a metal device was attached to his heart. He saw a man in a white coat standing next to him, holding a clipboard and remote control. Hello, Dr. Lee, the man said. Welcome to Project Calls. Dr. Lee tried to speak, but no sound came out of his mouth. He realized he had a tube down his throat, preventing him from talking. The man smiled and continued. You're probably wondering what's going on. Well, let me explain. You see, SCP-1654 is not just a book. It's a key across the ultimate source of knowledge and power in the universe, the Cause. The man pointed at one of the monitors, where Dr. Lee saw an image of a swirling vortex of light and darkness. This is the Cause, he said. It is the origin and the end of everything that exists. It is beyond our comprehension and control. It is what we have been searching for all this time. Dr. Lee felt a surge of fear and awe. He wondered what the man wanted from him, and from the Cause. The man continued, You are one of the few people who have been able to read SCP-1654 without losing your mind or dying. This means you have a special connection to the Cause. You can sense it, feel it, maybe even be influenced by it. The man pressed a button on his remote control, and Dr. Lee felt a jolt of electricity run through his body. The device on your heart is connected to the cause, the man said. It allows us to monitor your vital signs, your brain activity, while you're exposed to the cause's energy. It also allows us to stimulate or suppress your heart rate as we please. Dr. Lee felt another jolt of electricity, making him gasp for air. We want you to do something for us, the man said. We want you to use your connection to the cause to manipulate reality as we wish. We want you to create or destroy anything we ask you to. Dr. Lee felt a wave of horror and disbelief. He realized that he had been used as a tool for some unknown agenda. The man pressed another button on his remote control, and Dr. Lee saw an image of a city on fire on one of the monitors. This is New York, the man said. We want you to make it disappear. Dr. Lee felt a surge of anger and resistance. He refused to comply with such an insane request. The man pressed another button on his remote control, and Dr. Lee felt an intense pain in his heart. That was your punishment for disobeying us, the man said. We can make you suffer as much as we want. Dr. Lee felt tears running down his face. He wished he could escape this nightmare. The man pressed another button on his remote control, and Dr. Lee saw an image of his wife and daughter in one of the monitors. This is your family, the man said. We have them in our custody. Dr. Lee felt a surge of love and despair. He recognized him as his wife Helen and his daughter Lily. The man pressed another button on the remote control, and Dr. Lee heard gunshots in one of the monitors. That is your daughter, the man said. We just killed her. Dr. Lee felt a burst of grief and rage. He saw his daughter's lifeless body on the screen. The man pressed another button on his remote control, and Dr. Lee heard another gunshot on one of the monitors. That is your wife, the man said. We just killed her too. Dr. Lee felt a blast of sorrow and hatred. He saw his wife's bloody corpse on the screen. The man pressed another button on his remote control, and Dr. Lee saw an image of himself on one of the monitors. That is you, the man said. We are going to kill you too, unless you do what we want. Dr. Lee felt a surge of fear and hopelessness. He saw his own terrified face on the screen. The man pressed another button on his remote control, and Dr. Lee felt a final shock in his heart. This is the cause, the man said, and it's your only chance to survive. Dr. Lee felt a sudden connection to the cause. He felt its power and presence in his mind. He realized he had a choice: to die or to live. He chose to live. He used his connection to the cause to manipulate reality as he wished. He created a massive explosion that destroyed the facility where he was held captive, killing everyone inside, including the man in the white coat. He escaped from his prison and fled to the outside world, where he saw chaos and destruction everywhere. He realized he had unleashed the cause's energy upon the planet, altering its natural course of order and balance. He did not care. He lost everything he loved and cared about. He had nothing left to live for, except for revenge. He decided to use his connection to the cause to wipe out humanity, the source of his suffering and misery. He chose to be the cause of death.